The first strange thing wasn't my wife asking for a divorce. It was the map. I was standing at the kitchen counter, trying to fold a paper map that didn't belong to us. Not Google Maps on a phone. An actual paper map, creased and worn, with a coffee stain in the corner and a red circle drawn around a small town neither of us had ever mentioned before. I kept turning it over, like maybe my brain would suddenly remember why it existed. We never used paper maps. Ever. The map was in our junk drawer, underneath rubber bands, old batteries, and expired coupons. I only found it because the drawer jammed, and I yanked too hard. The map slid out and unfolded itself on the floor like it wanted to be seen. I stared at it for a long time. Long enough to feel stupid for staring. Long enough to hear my wife's footsteps behind me. She froze when she saw it. Just for half a second. But it was enough. "That's not ours," she said quickly, too quickly. I didn't answer. I just looked at her. And then she did something she hadn't done in months. She avoided my eyes. That's when she said it. "I think we should get a divorce." No build-up. No explanation. No emotion. Just dropped into the room like a broken plate. I remember thinking, that sentence doesn't belong here. Like the map. Like something had been placed into my life by mistake. I waited for my chest to explode. For my voice to crack. For my hands to shake. None of that happened. Instead, I folded the map. Carefully. Slowly. Like it mattered. "Okay," I said. That word surprised both of us. She stared at me like I'd said the wrong line in a play. Like I was supposed to beg or argue or collapse. Her mouth opened slightly, then closed again. "That's it?" she asked. I shrugged. I hate that I shrugged. It felt weak. Small. But I didn't know what else to do. I've always been that guy. The quiet one. The one who swallows things instead of spitting them out. She nodded slowly, like she'd just confirmed something to herself. Then she walked into the bedroom and shut the door. No tears. No yelling. Just the sound of a lock clicking. That night, I slept on the couch, staring at the ceiling fan, replaying the moment she flinched when she saw the map. Not the divorce. The map. The next morning, she acted lighter, humming while she made coffee, wearing makeup she hadn't touched in weeks. She said she was going away for a few days to think. She didn't say where. She didn't take the map. After she left, the house felt wrong. Not empty, wrong. Like something important had been removed, but something dangerous had been left behind. I kept seeing that red circle in my head. So I unfolded the map again. The town name sounded familiar, but not from our life. From somewhere else. Somewhere I couldn't place. I Googled it. My stomach dropped. There was only one reason someone would go there secretly. One reason they'd circle that exact area. One reason they'd hide a paper map like it was contraband. And suddenly, the divorce made sense. 3 days later, my wife texted me. "I made a mistake. Can we talk?" I didn't answer. Instead, I packed a bag. And I drove toward the red circle. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I just folded the map one last time, shoved it in my glove box, and drove. I needed answers, not comfort. Somewhere between the humming tires and endless highway, I started wondering how many lies someone could tell before their face forgets how to look honest. And how long I'd been too much of a coward to ask the right questions. The town was even smaller than it looked on the map. One gas station, a diner with yellowed windows, and a strip of houses that all looked like they were built the same summer sometime in the 70s and never updated since. I parked my car outside a faded building that said White Elk Motel. The paint was peeling. The neon vacancy sign buzzed half-lit like it was trying to whisper something. I didn't even know what I was looking for, not exactly. I walked into the lobby pretending I had business being there. The man at the desk didn't even look up. He just flipped a page in his crossword puzzle and muttered, "Need a room or just passing through?" I said, "Actually, my wife stayed here recently. Blonde, medium height. Name's Melanie." He paused, looked up. I watched his face carefully. I don't give out guest info. I pulled out my phone and showed him a photo. One we took last Christmas. I was blinking, and she was laughing, holding up a glass of wine like we were the happiest couple on earth. Lies printed in pixels. The guy's expression changed. Barely, but it was there. Recognition. He sighed. "Room 7. I swear I didn't breathe for 10 full seconds. My legs moved before I had time to think. I walked straight to room 7. The door was cracked. Not open, but not locked either. I knocked softly. No answer. Then I pushed. The room smelled like leftover perfume and lies. The bed was made, but the pillows were indented like someone had just been there. There were 2 glasses on the nightstand. One still had lipstick on the rim. Her shade. Her exact shade. My hands started shaking. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was humiliated. Like I'd stepped onto a stage halfway through a play I thought I was starring in, only to realize I was just the background character. And then I saw it. A duffel bag. Hers. Wide open. Inside were clothes, a charger, a folded-up flannel shirt that wasn't mine, and, God, I wish I was lying, a printed ultrasound picture. 8 weeks. I stumbled back, nearly tripping over the edge of the carpet. It felt like my lungs stopped working. Like the air in that room had been rented, too, and now someone was taking it back. And then I heard a voice from outside the window. A man's voice. Laughing. Getting closer. I panicked. I didn't even know why. I wasn't doing anything wrong. But something primal in me just knew I wasn't supposed to be there when they came back. So I grabbed the photo. Just the ultrasound. And I slipped out the back, like some heartbroken burglar. I got in my car and drove until the town disappeared behind me. I didn't know what hurt more, that she was pregnant, or that she didn't even bother telling me before filing for divorce. 3 hours later, I got a voicemail from her. Sean, I think I made a mistake. Can we please talk? She didn't mention the town, or the motel, or the map, or the ultrasound. Just a mistake. That was the moment I realized something. She didn't regret what she did. She regretted that I found out. I didn't answer her voicemail. Not immediately. I let it sit in my inbox like a wound I didn't want to touch. Every part of me wanted to scream at her, ask who the father was, why she didn't tell me, how long she'd been sleeping next to me while dreaming of someone else. But instead, I did the thing I always did. I waited. I let the silence speak first. She showed up the next evening without calling. I heard her car pull into the driveway and sat there like an idiot on the couch, staring at my own reflection in the black TV screen, holding the ultrasound photo like it might dissolve if I gripped it hard enough. I didn't even get up when I heard the key in the lock. She still had one. I hadn't changed it. The door opened. She stepped inside. Makeup smeared. Hair pulled back like she'd rushed here, which was insulting, like speeding made up for weeks of deceit. Sean, she said, voice cracking like I was supposed to feel sorry for her. I didn't speak. I didn't move. She stood there, twisting her hands like a schoolgirl caught cheating on a test. I made a mistake. I tilted my head. Which one? Her eyes darted to my hands. She saw the ultrasound. Her face froze. You went through my things. Finally, I laughed. Bitter. Hollow. That's what you're mad about. She started crying. Full-on crying. Shoulders shaking, voice cracking, mascara running. And maybe a part of me, the weak part, wanted to comfort her. But I didn't. I just watched like a stranger watching a play. Sean, she said, stepping forward. Please let me explain. I found the motel. I saw the bag. I heard his voice. I swallowed hard. Don't insult me by pretending it was just a mistake. You made plans. She dropped her head into her hands and collapsed onto the floor. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't plan to fall in love with him. It just happened. God. That word again. Happened. Like it was the weather. Like she tripped and fell into someone's motel room and stayed for a weekend. I didn't say anything for a long time. She finally whispered, it's not his. The baby. It's not his. I froze. That was a lie. Or it wasn't. I didn't know. I couldn't tell anymore. She'd crossed so many lines that even her voice sounded like a stranger's. She kept going. I got confused. I felt ignored. I was lonely. You stopped looking at me like you used to. I thought maybe someone else would. Make you feel seen? I snapped. She nodded. So you burned our entire life down for someone who made you feel seen in a hotel room? I stood. My legs felt like jelly, but I forced myself up. You left me in the ashes. You didn't ask for counseling. You didn't ask for time. You asked for a divorce. You wanted freedom. So don't cry now that it doesn't feel the way you imagined. She reached out for me. I stepped back. And that's when I realized I wasn't crying. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was done. I pulled a small envelope from my pocket, placed it on the table. She looked at it like it was radioactive. What's this? She whispered. Instructions. You wanted a divorce? I'm giving it to you. With everything. No contest. You keep the house, the car, everything. She looked stunned. Why? Because I want you to have exactly what you thought you wanted. And then I walked upstairs, grabbed a suitcase I'd packed 2 nights ago, and walked past her without saying another word. She sat there frozen, still crying, whispering my name like it was some kind of spell that could rewind time. But I didn't turn back, and I didn't feel guilty, because I finally realized something. You can't save someone who set the fire and handed you the match. I thought that was it. I thought walking out of the house with a suitcase would be the end of the story. That she'd cry, sulk, maybe send a few guilt-ridden texts, and eventually disappear into the life she chose over me. I imagined silence, closure, a clean break. Instead, I got followed. The first time I noticed it, I was 2 days into staying at a cheap roadside inn about 40 miles out of town. Not a place anyone would look for me. No one knew I was there, not even my brother. I needed distance, space to breathe, to think about what starting over even meant. But that night, coming back from grabbing food, I saw a black SUV in the parking lot. Windows tinted, engine running. Nothing weird on its own, except I saw the same SUV earlier that morning when I left the gas station 2 towns over. Coincidence? Maybe. But then it showed up again the next day. Different location, different time, same vehicle, same damn hum of the engine idling too long for no reason. And then it hit me. He was watching me. Not her. Not someone from my life. Him. The man whose voice I heard outside room 7. I don't know how I knew. I just felt it. The way the guy never stepped out. Never came close. Just hovered on the edge of my new solitude, like a shadow I couldn't shake. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept all the lights off in the motel room and sat by the window like some paranoid loser, heart racing every time a car passed. Around 2:14 a.m., I saw the SUV again. Parked across the street this time. No headlights. Just sitting there like a threat no one had to say out loud. My phone buzzed. It was Melanie. Are you okay? Have you noticed anything strange? I almost threw the phone across the room. Now she asks. After I vanished without a fight, now she decides to be worried? I didn't respond. She called. I didn't pick up. A minute later, another message. Please call me back. I didn't tell you everything. He's not who you think he is. That sent chills down my spine. I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over the call button, but I couldn't press it. Instead, I did something stupid. Something emotional. Something that honestly could have gotten me hurt. I went outside. The air was freezing. I didn't even grab a jacket. I just stormed across the parking lot barefoot in a t-shirt, toward the SUV. The moment I was within 10 feet, the engine roared to life and the headlights blazed in my face. I raised my hands like an idiot, shielding my eyes, yelling, "What do you want?" No answer. No window rolling down. Just that humming engine. And then the SUV sped off. Not fast. Just deliberately. Like it had seen what it needed. When I got back to the room, I finally called Melanie. I needed to know what the hell was going on. She answered instantly. "Sean, are you safe? Tell me, who is he?" Silence. Then, "His name's Curtis. We dated when I was 20. I broke it off. He didn't." My blood went cold. "You said he was just some guy from work." I lied. I thought I could handle it. But when I told him about the baby, "You told him before me?" I cut in, my voice cracking. "Melanie, what the hell were you thinking?" "I didn't know it was yours," she said softly. I was scared. And when I told him it might not be his, he changed. I sank to the floor, heart pounding. "You think he's following me?" "I know he is," she whispered. "He asked if I told you where the motel was. He knew your name, your schedule. Sean, he's not just angry, he's obsessed." I stared at the locked door, as if it could keep danger out just by existing. "He's not going to stop," she said. "Not unless we do something." I let out a bitter laugh. "We?" She hesitated. "I know I don't deserve it. But if you ever loved me, please don't handle this alone." I hung up. And that night, for the first time since she asked for a divorce, I realized something horrifying. This wasn't just a betrayal anymore. It was a trap I didn't see coming. I checked out of the motel at sunrise. Didn't even shower. I just tossed my things into the trunk, slammed it shut, and drove. No GPS, no destination. I just wanted distance between me and that SUV. Every car behind me felt like it might be him. Every turn I made felt watched. But around mid-morning, I pulled into a rest stop. I was exhausted and wired at the same time, hands shaking on the wheel. I got out to stretch, walked around the car once, twice, and that's when I saw it. A folded piece of paper, tucked under my windshield wiper. My stomach dropped. I looked around. Empty lot. Just one semi-truck parked far off, engine running. I unfolded the paper slowly. My name was written on the outside. Sean. Inside, 2 words. "You should have stayed." That's all it said. No signature. No number. But the handwriting was aggressive. Like each letter had been carved with pressure, like whoever wrote it was barely keeping it together. I crumpled it up instinctively, but then stopped myself. What was I going to do? Pretend this wasn't happening. I called Melanie. I got a note, I said the second she answered. She was quiet for a beat. Then, he knows you left town. No kidding. I'm calling the police. What good will that do? I snapped. You told me you dated him. Is he dangerous or not? I don't know, she whispered. He's calculated. He doesn't scream or threaten. He just shows up. I exhaled shakily. Then why drag me into this? Why lie? Why let me find out like this? I didn't think he'd follow you, she said. I thought if I let you go, I'd be protecting you. I laughed bitterly. You wanted a divorce to protect me? Are you hearing yourself? She didn't respond. So I hung up again. I didn't want her answers anymore. I wanted a solution. I wanted this to end. And deep down, I was starting to realize something I hadn't admitted to myself yet. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about survival. And somewhere, somehow, he was always one step ahead. I thought maybe I could outrun this. Just drive far enough, think fast enough, stay alert enough, and somehow shake him. But when I finally circled back to the house to grab the rest of my things, I realized I hadn't just been followed. I'd been hunted. The moment I stepped through the front door, I knew something was off. The air felt wrong. Not cold. Not warm. Still, like it had been holding its breath. The lock wasn't broken, but the door felt lighter. And when I walked in, I noticed it right away. The upstairs hallway light was on. I never leave that light on. My legs moved before my brain caught up. I walked through the living room slowly, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The coat rack was leaning just slightly, like it had been bumped. The corner picture frame was tilted. Small things. Stupid things. Things you'd never notice unless this was your home. And that's what made it worse. Whoever had been here knew me. I walked upstairs, each step heavier than the last. My hand shook as I reached for the bedroom door. It was wide open, bed untouched. But something was wrong. Then I saw it. On the pillow. My pillow. A silver necklace. It wasn't Melanie's. It was mine. Well, it used to be. I hadn't worn it in years. It was a gift from my late father. It broke one day while I was cleaning out the garage, and I swore I lost it. I searched for hours. Days. I cried like an idiot when I couldn't find it. I thought it was gone forever. And now it was on my pillow. Polished. Clean. Placed. I backed out of the room slowly, terrified to touch anything. My mind raced. Had he been here while I was gone? Watching? Did he take it back then? Has this been going on longer than I realized? Downstairs, I called the police. They came. Took a report. Searched the place. No signs of forced entry. No fingerprints. No footage from the neighbor's door cam because, of course, it had gone offline due to maintenance 2 days ago. Convenient. The officer said it could have been a prank. A friend messing with me. I wanted to scream. Instead, I nodded like a good little citizen and waited for them to leave. As soon as they were gone, I called Melanie again. She answered on the first ring. He's been in the house, I said. He left something personal. He knew where it was. He knew it mattered. She went quiet for so long, I thought the call dropped. Then she whispered, There's something I didn't tell you. Of course there was. I didn't just date him, she said. I was with him before you. Like years before. I broke it off, but he never really let go. He used to show up to my apartment. Leave gifts on the porch. Flowers. Jewelry. Notes. At first it was sweet. Then it was unsettling. And you didn't think to mention this before he was in my damn house. I thought it was over, she snapped. I thought if I didn't engage, he'd stop. He did for a while. Then when we reconnected at my job last year, he acted normal. Said he was in therapy. Said he had changed. I believed him. Of course she did. Melanie, I said quietly. Do you understand what you've brought into my life? Into our life? He isn't just obsessed with you anymore. He's targeting me. I know, she whispered. That's why I'm scared. I looked around the house, suddenly feeling like it didn't belong to me anymore. Every shadow felt suspicious. Every window looked vulnerable. Then we need to stop pretending this is about a failed marriage, I said. What do you mean? I mean, it's not just about betrayal anymore. This is war. And as crazy as it sounded, I wasn't talking about just defending myself anymore. I wanted him to feel hunted, too. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I spent hours sitting in the dark, staring at the bedroom door with a baseball bat across my lap, and Winston, our golden retriever, curled up at my feet like he knew we weren't just guarding a house anymore. We were guarding a truth that someone else was trying to erase. That necklace on my pillow had changed everything. It was too intimate, too personal. This wasn't just some jealous ex creeping around. This was a message. I know where you sleep. I know what matters to you. And I'm not done. So I made a decision. If this guy wanted to play games, fine. I'd play one back. The next morning, I moved back into the house. I told no one. Not Melanie. Not my brother. Not even the neighbors. I parked 2 blocks over and walked in through the back. Covered the windows. Left the lights off. I even installed a cheap motion sensor camera I grabbed from the hardware store. It wasn't fancy, but it would at least alert me if anything moved at the doors or windows. Then I waited. 2 nights. Nothing. But on the 3rd night, just past 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion detected. Back door. I didn't panic. I didn't move. I stayed exactly where I was. On the floor in the dark hallway, just out of view. Bat ready. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. Closer. Then, silence. I held my breath. Every second stretched like elastic, one wrong sound away from snapping. Then a whisper came through the house. Not his voice. Hers. Sean. I froze. She wasn't supposed to be here. Sean, are you home? It's me. Melanie. I stepped out slowly. What the hell are you doing here? She nearly jumped. I didn't think you'd be back. I had a weird feeling. I couldn't sleep. I thought maybe if he was watching me, he'd come here. I looked past her. No car in the driveway. How'd you get here? I walked. I parked around the block. Exactly like I had. I narrowed my eyes. You told me you were scared. You told me to stay away. Now you show up at 2 a.m. without warning? She swallowed hard. I needed to see you. Her hands were shaking. She wasn't lying, but she wasn't telling the full truth either. Then she reached into her jacket pocket and pulled something out. A phone. Not hers. She handed it to me, unlocked. Sean. I stole it from him. I stared at it. The background was a picture of her. From years ago. Preemie. Blonde highlights. Tank top. Summer tan. She looked so young it made my chest hurt. I grabbed it while he was in the shower. I don't even know if he knows it's missing yet. You're still with him? I said, voice rising. No. I stayed a few nights. To keep him calm. To distract him. I blinked at her like she was speaking another language. You used yourself as bait? I didn't know what else to do. I scrolled through the messages. Emails. Notes. And then I found it. A folder labeled, Sean. Dozens of photos. Of me. Walking Winston. Pumping gas. Sleeping in the motel. Standing inside my own home through the living room window. Some taken weeks ago. Some taken days ago. Some from angles that made it clear he had been inside more than once. My knees gave out, and I sat hard on the bottom stair. Melanie sat beside me, silent. She whispered, he's been planning something. I don't know what. But it's not just about me anymore. She was right. This wasn't just obsession. It was a campaign. And I was the final piece. I didn't sleep after seeing that folder. I didn't even move for a while. Just sat there on the stairwell with Melanie beside me, that stolen phone still glowing in my hand. The photos weren't just creepy. They were strategic. He had been cataloging my routines, my expressions, my silences. Like I was a project. A puzzle. But the worst part? He always knew when I wasn't looking. I don't know how long we sat like that, not speaking. Eventually, Melanie whispered, we should go to the police again. With this phone, they'll have enough. And for once, she was right. This wasn't paranoia anymore. This was evidence. We drove to the station before sunrise. Handed over the phone. Filed everything. Names, dates, threats, sightings. The officer we spoke to didn't shrug this time. He called a detective. And when they opened the gallery and saw just how close this guy had gotten to me, to us, they stopped pretending it was some jealous ex playing mind games. It took 2 days. 2 quiet, heavy days. Then the call came. They arrested him outside a grocery store, 3 towns away. He still had the duplicate house Melanie thought she lost last summer. And inside his car, a second phone, with voice memos, recordings. One of them was from the night she'd asked me for the divorce. He didn't even fight back, her voice said on the recording. He just said okay. He'd been listening, maybe for weeks. I won't lie, hearing that crushed me in a different way. Knowing our private pain had been entertainment for someone. It made every moment feel contaminated. But strangely, it also gave me clarity. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't overreacting. I'd known something was off all along, and I had finally trusted that instinct. Curtis pled guilty to trespassing, stalking, and possession of surveillance equipment with criminal intent. They're still stacking charges. He's going to be gone for a long time. Melanie tried to make amends. Apologized more times than I could count. Asked if there was still a version of us that could exist after all this. I told her the truth. No. Too much damage. Too much silence. Too many choices she made that I never got a say in. But I wasn't cruel about it. I meant it gently. And for once, she accepted it. We settled the divorce on paper the next month. She kept the house. I didn't want it anymore. I moved 2 towns over, got a new place, nothing fancy. Just quiet. Safe. Mine. And for the first time in years, I started sleeping through the night without checking the locks twice. No more anonymous texts. No more cars parked down the street. No more cold glances across the dinner table. Just peace. Winston's with me, snoring at the foot of my bed every night like a living reminder that not everything that stayed in my life was broken. I still think about it sometimes, the way love can rot in silence. How betrayal doesn't always look like lipstick on a collar. Sometimes it's just someone giving your name to a person who should have never had it. But I made it out, and I don't look over my shoulder anymore, because I'm finally facing forward.